From deleting a feature for the first time since release to the cruelest vaulting in history, these are 30 Fortnite features vaulted years later. 3 years ago, Fortnite took us all by surprise when a battle pass was full of collabs, something we all assumed was a one-off, but instead would become a new trend for the chapters ahead. Tony Stark was the first of many crossovers that would now claim the special Tier 100 spot, but Epic would soon regret it. From this point forward, we had Grogu, Rick Sanchez, Carnage, and throughout Chapter 3, every single Tier 100 slot was a collab. We got used to it pretty quickly, but then with the release of Chapter 4, everything changed. Now Tier 100 skins are completely original again, with the Ageless in Season 1 and Mizuki shortly afterwards. Now that's not as shocking as the removal of a feature that has been in the game for 2 years straight and only just got vaulted. Chapter 2 introduced off-road tires, the first ever vehicle mod, and it stuck around for a long time, joined by cow catchers in 2022. This was an unbelievable combo for your truck, but for some unknown reason, they were deleted this month. And that still didn't break a world record, unlike the removal of an item that has been in Fortnite since day one, and I'm talking literally. It wasn't included in the patch notes or acknowledged by Epic Games at all, but supply drops has been vaulted for the first time ever. Now only bandages, medkits, and the battle bus outlive it. And while supply drops aren't essential to Fortnite, there is one feature that is, and no one was expecting Epic to axe it. I'm talking about building, the only thing separating Fortnite from other battle royales. It's kind of the whole point, but for 2 weeks in Chapter 3, they did the impossible and banned every form of building as a publicity stunt. It was received so well that they turned it into a fully fledged mode, and now zero build is one of the most popular ways to play. But I guarantee you didn't know about the secret POI that has been on the island for years and was only vaulted this month. Noms is a grocery store that has always been around, whether it's Retail Row, Tilted Towers, or Cloudy Condos. This chapter Noms is found at Faulty Splits, and as we know, that got crushed by the Season 2 biome. But don't worry, it always seems to find a way back. That's unlike Battle Labs, because this was one of the most controversial decisions Fortnite has made in a long time. It was the go-to mode for anyone who wanted to mess around, record videos, or set up a custom match without hassle, and what they do? Turned it into Creative Royale. And that didn't go down the way Epic expected. Sadly, despite being loved for 3 years, nothing would change their mind. Battle Lab has been permanently deleted. And I get it, right now it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the different characters on the map. I mean, we've got a medieval kingdom, an ice fortress, a samurai biome, a cyberpunk mafia. I mean, it's a lot, okay? And well, it feels like that because we're missing the two most important factions in the entire game, the Seven and the Imagined Order. Everyone remembers the surprise reveal of Dwayne Johnson as the Foundation, or the betrayal by Dr. Sloan in Operation Skyfire. They've given us the most memorable events over the years, and Chapter 4 is the first time ever that they're nowhere to be found. And they're not the only ones with a cult following, as 2019 introduced the rarest item in Fortnite history, and everyone was desperate to find it. Of course, I'm talking about the mythic goldfish, which had a drop rate of 1 in a million and did 200 damage in a single hit. This fish was instantly famous, and he stuck around for 2 years, but when he was vaulted, nobody realized for months because it was that hard to find. Now, you'll struggle to catch any rare fish in Chapter 4 because Epic secretly removed an item that no one is talking about. The pro fishing rod got added in 2020, and it was never loved or hated, just there for us in a time of need. Well, that's until last season, when fishing barrels would give you nothing but common rods, and we quickly realized Epic deleted the pro version without telling anyone. And the same goes for wildlife that has been populating the island for years. Boars, wolves, sharks, they've been around for a long time, and in the past, some of them have been swapped out, but for the first time ever, Fortnite's removed all of them. Only chickens have survived the purge, and that's because Easter's around the corner. I mean, at least we can walk around without a shark bursting through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man though, right? Oh yeah! Now, we also don't have to worry about spike traps behind every door. It was one of the most terrifying parts of early Battle Royale, and people made some very impressive trap towers with them. They came back with Cypher PK's Mythic for a few days, but it seems like the item as a whole is entirely being phased out. Now, if you think Fortnite is missing something and you can't quite put your finger on it, it's probably the fan favorite locations that have been with us for years until now. Every time we got a new map or season, you could always rely on Pleasant Park and Retail Row sticking around. Even when Tilted vanished, they were still standing, but everything changed when the island flipped and we have never seen them again. You also shouldn't expect police cars to make a return. These are just decorations around the map until Chapter 2, and for pretty understandable reasons, they are quietly vaulted and never came back. We caught a glimpse of it in the cancel tutorial mission, and there were drivable police cars in the files, but those are now completely gone. But I am probably the most sad about a feature that really brought life to Fortnite. Throughout the years, we've seen miniature storylines like the Teddy Bears vs. No More, the evolution creation of the Coral Buddies, and of course, the journey of the Rock family. Every week, you could go searching for an update to the Easter eggs, and Chapter 4 doesn't have anything like this. And we were so used to the way vending machines work that it's easy to forget they used to be totally different. At the start, it cost materials for your favorite weapon, meaning you could only get the item you want if you had the correct type of mats. After gold was introduced, it was an easy swap, but a lot of people have forgotten about this feature because it's been so long. And that's just like walking. Yep, something this basic no longer exists in Chapter 4. You used to do a small jog and could hold sprint to run. Everyone turned on auto run though, so they didn't even notice when it was removed. Now running is the default animation, while tactical sprint has replaced the old system. Gone are the days of these simple mechanics that we took for granted, such as shakedowns. As you probably remember, anyone who got down could be interrogated for their teammate's position, and it was super useful. Even though Fortnite tried to replace it time and time again with the flare gun and the recon scanner, it was always easier to just shake someone down. Sadly, the option isn't there anymore, but at least you could still kidnap them. To fill the hole left by this, some of us interrogated people in the imposters mode instead. This was one of the coolest LTMs of all time, and they kept making it better with proximity chat, leaked vents, and a ton of Easter eggs. And even though we had it for an entire year, it wasn't enough time to truly appreciate it, and Epic permanently deleted imposters in Chapter 3 to work on other projects. It's pretty sad, but it wasn't as sudden as the removal of 100% chest spawns. Since Chapter 2 you could land somewhere, know exactly where the chests were, and it was really fun to calculate the best drops. Well, that was until 2020 when Fortnite decided to make things more luck-based and remove the 100% spawn rate. It was super controversial because now you could land somewhere and find absolutely nothing, ruining your whole game. Then there's the classic locker, which was a great removal depending on who you'd ask. As the item shop kept growing, it was becoming pretty clear that this design wouldn't keep up with the ridiculous amount of skins. The list was getting bigger, and they needed a solution, changing the entire layout in Chapter 2, and over the years, it's been refined with presets, new backgrounds, and every skin has a different icon. I kinda miss the hexagons though. Now the item shop is just 10 rows of Marvel and DC skins. That's just as iconic as the original version of the burst AR. We're used to the AUG nowadays, but nothing beats the wooden style from Chapter 1 or the FAMAS that replaced it. But everyone was happy when Fortnite removed a feature that was annoying players for years. Reboot vans were revolutionary when they came out, but it was so easy to spawn and get immediately sniped. After tons of complaints, people finally logged in, and instead of spawning on the top, they would get rifted from the sky, which is just way safer. None of us, though, were expecting Epic to remove an entire server. Since the game started, you'd be able to play tournaments on NA East or West, and when Central got introduced, we thought it would be a third option. Instead, 5 years later, it became the only option, and thousands of pros are now forced to play with high ping. I mean, come on, Epic, this is like the worst change ever. And some removals are still being debated to this day, like the original Battle Pass. On the surface, it's easy to think it works the same, but when you look back at the passes from years ago, they're so different. We used to have tiers instead of pages, and you could have purchased things with battle stars. In fact, stars weren't even a currency, they were actual things on the map that you could pick up to get XP. The only way to find them was through a loading screen that secretly revealed the battle star's location, and I think most of us want this back. A more understandable change took the community by storm in 2019. It was common to change your resolution to insane numbers and get a stretch screen. This apparently made enemies wider and therefore easier to hit, which may or may not be true, but Epic were scared of it anyway. They banned it from all tournaments in Season X, and pros were not happy about it. It's also easy to forget the default skins once looked like this. You could argue it's way better than whatever Chapter 4 is doing, but these were around for a long time and their legacy speaks for itself. Another forgotten design is for one of Fortnite's most iconic weapons. In the early days, the Scar was super popular because it was the legendary version of this gun, the assault rifle. But after a few years, Epic got rid of this design, and it's been through a lot of changes since, with all rarities being turned to Scars last season. We also didn't expect Fortnite to phase out one of the most beloved features, LTMs. It all started with 50v50 in 2017, and evolved to the Avengers mode, and Floor's Lava, Playground, all of them shaped key memories for Chapter 1 players. Now we are half a decade into the game, and LTMs just don't exist anymore. They've been reworked into cash cups and permanent modes, and we'll probably never see new ones again. But I couldn't make this video without mentioning the biggest removal of them all, which affected millions of players. The downfall of Fortnite China. It was one of the most interesting topics out there, with no microtransactions, a free battle pass, and curfew laws that let everyone win the game. Each season, we scrambled to figure out what was different, like a back bling that turned from a skull to a ball, until one day, everything vanished. crashed. Millions of Chinese players had their accounts deleted with no way to save their progress. Years of collecting skins gone overnight. It's super disappointing to see something like this happen, but you can't really blame Epic. If China decides to ban the game, there's really no other option than to shut it all down. And those were every feature vaulted years later. If you want to use code T5G in the item shop, we'd really appreciate it. It supports us. It's been Tommy. Keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.